Howdy everyone, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on where you live and when you watch this. I am Max of Mixed by Max. Welcome. My first video. It's November 11th, and which means Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and then Thanksgiving is always followed by Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah, and then we have a little bit of a break before all the 4th of July sales, and I want to talk about plugins, and really software in general. I found that I've wasted a lot of money on plugins that I don't use. They're all wonderful tools, but if you look, all these EQs, I use maybe 4. Compressors, I, again, use maybe 4. I use maybe 2 of all these, although I'm getting more into the Quadravox from Eventide, which they just gave out for free. Reverbs, delays, everything. I use maybe, my go-tos are maybe 2 or 3 things. Again, maybe 4 for the EQ and the compressors. And that's it. But I have folders and folders and folders of plugin after plugin after plugin that I bought. And even if I got it for free, it is just taking up space and I have to clean it out because I don't even see them anymore. I just really go to my go-to plugins. If I'm stuck every now and then, a specialty plugin, there are ones that I use once every blue moon for something very specific, but every mix, it's this same 4 EQs, same 4 compressors. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But anyway, so over the next few days and weeks, I'm going to go through just my go-to plugins for each category, for EQ, for compressor, for reverb, delay, so on and so forth, just so I can impart to you my process for why I think this is a good buy. I'm going to focus on something a little different than most people focus on. Most people focus on sound, certainly sound quality, which is important. I'm not bashing that. There are just a lot of videos on that. I want to focus on ease of use, because if there's one pattern that I've found in whether or not I use a plugin consistently, it is whether or not it is intuitive to use. If I have to sit and read a manual for an hour in order to use a plugin, I am not going to use it. In this day and age, I am just not doing that. If I have to spend a week, 2 weeks trying to work this plugin into a workflow, into, my normal way I do things, it's not happening. I don't want the headache. I don't want to spend that time. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm cranky. I don't know. But there are certain plugins where they really just got it right, and it was a seamless transition to add it into my workflow and have it be a consistent plugin that I use every single mix without any sort of learning curve or anything like that. And let's start with EQ, which usually is the first sort of effect or first sort of plugin or processing, we'll say, that everyone learns. And it's going to be of no surprise to anyone that my go-to EQ since the day that I got it without any learning curve is the FabFilter Pro Q. There are a few things that I love about it. Number one is that it starts with 0 bands. And if you want another band, you just double click and you can add as many bands as you want. I think it's up to 20 something if I'm not mistaken. But you can use as much or as little CPU as you want. There is, I use the stock EQ from Pro Tools before I got this, and I was very hesitant to switch because I really had no problem with this. But if I only want to do one thing, let's say I want to boost over here, I don't know, whatever it is, or I want to make it less muddy and cut the low mids, that would be more like here, whatever. I have to come down here and turn all these off, right? And it's cumbersome. It adds a lot more than I need to. And then I want to change the cue. So I just, I came down here to turn all them off, then I left this one on, then pulled this down, and then now I have to change the cue down here, and it's more steps than necessary. With this, if I want to do that same thing, I just double click, pull it down, and I can scroll to get the exact cue that I want. If I want to boost or cut less and have a wider cue for a more natural sound, or if I want to do a very surgical sort of cut of some resonant frequency, I can do that too, just by scrolling. No running the mouse all over the screen. It's fantastic. You can also isolate every single band, which is really nice. You can do that in the stock Pro Tools EQ too, but you have to hold down, I don't even know what key it is on the keyboard, and click, and it's cumbersome. This just lays everything right in front of your eyes. It's easy, and you can turn on help so that if you hover over a button, if you don't know what it does, there's a help thing that comes up automatically, and it tells you exactly what it does. Another bonus of this plugin is that it also doubles as a dynamic EQ, which is to say that if you, let's say, for a singer, right? That's a great example of when to use a dynamic EQ. There are only certain syllables, certain vowels, where the singer really gets too loud, right? With a very open mouth. And you want to cut the EQ, take out some of the mud, let's say, or the harshness. If it's an E kind of sound, and he's holding that E or she's holding the E for a very long time, so you want to cut the harshness, but only when it gets loud enough to cut, because you don't want to cut that frequency range for the whole song, otherwise it would sound dull. This also doubles as a dynamic EQ, where you can set the threshold for where you want it to start kicking in and set how much you want it to decrease the gain by. But I actually don't use this for that. I'm very sorry to say, FabFilter. I've just found it took me way too long to get a hang of it. It's not an intuitive way to work for me. And I have been very uninspired to spend the time to learn how to use it. Sort of as a bonus for that, I use the MIC DSP AE400. They've since come out, I think, with the AE600, but I think I got this before that existed, or I just didn't want to spend the extra money on the 600 because a 400 will do. This has 4 bands. It's color-coded. Can act as an expander. It can act as a compressor. And this is all very nice and good. And you can also solo each band here to see exactly what it's doing. So that's that. But back to the FabFilter here. What's also nice is that every single band is color-coded. And you have very, very clear differentiation between each band. Another bonus is that it has a built-in and along with that frequency analyzer, you can also see exactly how the EQ is affecting the sounds. You can see the difference between what it was before and what the EQ is either adding or taking away. By the way, this beautiful guitar is being played by Marcelo Nami, Marcelonami. I'll have a link to his work, to his channel on YouTube below the video. He's amazing. I had the absolute privilege of recording him and his, how would you say, I guess his bandmate. He plays with a guitarist, Amir Weiss. They've been performing in Israel and Brazil. They do they do sort of like a Latin American Brazilian acoustic duo. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. So yeah, that's FabFilter. I highly, highly recommend it. If not for just it, it's a terrific plugin, terrific sounding. But just for the ease of use, there is no time difference from the time that you download it to the time that you can use it in your workflow. It's not cumbersome at all. It's totally intuitive, at least the EQ part. And if you don't have it, if you have another favorite EQ, that's okay too. Leave it in the comments below. Tell me what your go-to EQ is. It might be a stock plugin. It might be something cool that I've never seen before. So let me know what your go-to EQ is, and maybe a little bit why you love that plugin. I'd be really interested to hear your answers. And next video, we are going to cover compressors. Until then, everyone be well, and have a wonderful day, evening, night, morning, again, whatever time it is for you. Take care.